Getting things started today, you know who it is. It's the Green Street Bandit himself. Wheeling and dealing, mink coat rocking, private jet hopping, Mr. Jason Beck.
Oh, yeah. Good morning, Rico. Hope everyone had a fantastic weekend. That's right. It's Monday, the most important day of the week. So important that this doctor has a warning that I have to warn you about at first because this doctor is totally out of touch with reality. But nonetheless, he says the drug threat to kids right now, it's pot, not fentanyl. Hudson Valley hospitals say. That's right. Twice in recent weeks, 911 had to be called for Worcester High School students who had reactions to substances. Both times there was speculation or rumors that fentanyl was the culprit. But the likely cause was marijuana, they say. This was no surprise to experts who say that marijuana has quickly become a major health concern among minors, which more so than fentanyl, which remains a scourge to adults who use hard drugs. With recreational marijuana now legal in New York and dispensaries starting to open, marijuana has quickly become so ubiquitous that many kids don't view it as a drug. Dr. Jamil Rizala, Associate Medical Director of the Emergency Medicine Department at Montefiore Nyack Hospital, said that minors in the emergency room will often say no when he asks them if they use drugs, but they'll say yes when he asks if they use marijuana. In Yonkers, police have seen more calls about kids getting sick from THC gummies, said Dean Polopoulos. It's a super Greek name. The department's public information officer. We're gravely concerned, said Kyle Bekalopotsky, executive director of the New York State PTA, Parent Teachers Association. Fears about fentanyl have arisen because the substance's connection to overdose deaths. So fentanyl quickly entered the conversation when students became ill at New Rochelle and Phelan. In New Rochelle, after a student was administered Narcan in January, school officials initially feared that fentanyl was involved, but it turned out the student had been vaping what they believed to be marijuana, and police later said that student didn't have opioids in their system. Narcan is a life-saving medication used to reverse opioid overdoses and doesn't cause harm when someone who didn't take opioids. And in February, after 4 Phelan students ate marijuana edibles in a school bathroom and were taken to the hospital, a fake Instagram account spread rumors that fentanyl was involved. The superintendent soon said the district did not believe fentanyl was a factor, and fentanyl primarily remains a threat to adults, Rizagia said. Most of the fentanyl overdoses we see are heroin abusers where fentanyl was cut in, he said. But marijuana on its own has become the real problem that is including minors in the hospital, he said. It's easily accessible, whether kids get it on the street or from an adult who buys it legally from a dispensary. The problem is with edibles, they're saying. The accidental ingestion of edible marijuana is fast becoming a problem, they say. Many edibles look like candy, said Dr. Ivan Miller, director of emergency medicine at Worcester Medical Center. They are candy, and so it's not surprising that we're seeing really young children ingesting them by accident. How do you know it was by accident? And it's just not kids who are accidentally eating weed gummies. Adults are mistaking them for similar candy without THC too, Miller said. Edibles can also contain a lot of THC, more than what someone is used to taking, even when taking an edible to get high on purpose, can land kids in the emergency room, they said. The number of edible cannabis ingestions in kids younger than 6 rose from 207 in 2017 to 3,054 in 2021, according to a study of the Southern Illinois School of Medicine. Of 7,034 exposures between 2017 and 2021, 22.7% of parents or patients were admitted to the hospital. The study noted that there were 8 states plus Washington, D.C. in January 2017 that allowed adult use cannabis use, and by May 2022, the number rose to 18 states plus Washington, D.C. It's too much. Is too much marijuana dangerous? They ask. Consuming too much marijuana is usually not life-threatening, but it it is a hallucinogen, so people react to it differently. Rizalga said, "I'm not buying that. I've never hallucinated off weed, so I'm not buying all of that. But I'm going to continue." We've seen cases of patients using either excessive amounts of marijuana or synthetic marijuana that have had acute psychotic breaks, have developed psychiatric illness, and they've not expressed in the past, Razula said. It can make people dizzy, disorientated, and confused, and symptoms can last as long as 24 hours. Miller said, when someone unintentionally eats a THC product, it affects which can take hours to develop, can be scary. In February, Blaka submitted her concerns on behalf of the PTA to the New York State Cannabis Control Board, which is responsible for regulating the state's cannabis industry. She asked the agency to focus on protecting kids in several ways, increasing the distance between cannabis businesses and youth facilities, making products less attractive to kids, and increasing penalties for businesses that advertise or sell to kids. The PTA was among 5 statewide groups, including the State's Association of County Health Officials and the Academy Family of Pediatricians, that sent another letter the same day expounding on those requests. Lila Hunt, Deputy Director of Public Health and Campaigns for the State Office of Cannabis Management, said in an email that the state regulations around packaging, labeling, and marketing are designed to ensure legal products are only marketed to adults. That means no regulated edibles will come in packages that imitate products marketed toward young people. There won't be a cannabis Joe Camel in New York, she said. Legal dispensaries will never sell products that look like candy or target children. I mean, they are selling edibles, so that doesn't make any sense to me. But Hunt said, but illicit sellers do. The agency's enforcement teams are working to shut them down, as well as unlicensed storefronts that don't check IDs. Hunt also noted the agency's partnership with the state's poison control centers to improve data collection. Products should be stored and locked out of reach inside of young people and pets. Not enough to just store them out of reach. Kids and pets are resourceful, Hunt said. And this article just keeps on going on and on. Oh, wait a second. Here we go. In Yonkers, the Pitalopolis said there had been one instance in the last 3 years where a kid died from a fentanyl overdose. A 15-year-old took a painkiller pill in painkiller form and didn't realize it contained fentanyl. It's overwhelmingly adults we see accessing fentanyl, he said in an email. And he said fentanyl overdoses typically happen when someone is trying to get high, but not realizing that the active molecule in the powder that they're injecting or snorting is much more potent than what they thought, Miller said. And Recruza sees patients regularly bringing their children in for drug screening, worried that alcohol or other marijuana their kids consumed was laced with fentanyl or another opioid. Often by the time the results come back, the child has been given IV fluids and is already ready to leave. So obviously it's not that serious of a problem then, doctors, if that's really the case, and because you haven't had any kids die from the consumption of edibles. But we will digress. And this is Jason Beck reporting for the High at 9 News.